Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Through the Waves podcast.
Hiya, my name is Amelia May.
Why be anything other than happy?
This is my wellness podcast called Through the Waves. The ocean has always inspired my life in more ways than one.
It should always be filled with love and passion and excitement.
I love viewing my emotions and experiences in life like waves move through the ocean.
I love you. Happy Saturday when you're hearing this, or if you're not hearing this on Saturday, I hope you're having a great day, whatever day you're hearing this. For some reason, I feel like I haven't recorded in so long, and I don't know what that is, because I feel like I just recorded like last week, and I also am really excited for this upcoming week. It's Tuesday while I'm filming this, but I'm really excited because this week is just going to be such an eventful week. And last week really was super packed and super eventful, but honestly, last week is just really strange. I feel like it's really rare for me to have bad days or bad weeks, and I feel like last week was just like not a good week for me, and that's kind of what I wanted this episode to be about. I wanted it to be all about how to get out of rut and how to make yourself feel better, and also talking about so much about self-love. I had this like huge thing that I went through where I realized like the reason that I was actually feeling like that was because I wasn't giving myself enough love. So I'm so excited to chat with you guys, and also I'm in the process of kind of moving to my next place or next apartment or next home where I am going to live, but I've wanted to have guests on my podcast, and I've been kind of figuring out which guests I want, because I'm sure it is, and maybe you guys don't like it as much just hearing me talk and you want me to bring on other people, which I'm sure will be so much more fun and such better episodes as well. But I am creating my list of like all the guests I want on and people that I want to communicate and talk to you guys about and tell their story and just find new ways to communicate with the people I love and everything in between. And so I'm looking for new guests, and if you have any recommendations or people that you would like to see on the podcast, send them in, or at least like DM me. I have loved, and I say this, I guess I've said this the past couple episodes, but I've genuinely loved when you guys send me DMs, and it makes me so happy because I love being able to communicate with you guys, and also it gives me really good feedback on the episode. Like somebody was telling me that I was fidgeting with my hair too much, and I was like, oh, okay, like I'm taking that into account. I'll definitely think about that more while I'm recording, so thank you. Before we get into this episode, let's chat waves of the week. It's like a segment on the podcast where I talk about things that happened within the past week and catch you guys up and fill you in about what's been going on in my life. So waves of the week. This week I worked, or I guess not this week, this past week, I worked on so much fun content, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys. I can't give any spoilers about what it is yet, but it's been really, really fun. I've shot with brands that I've literally always dreamed about shooting with and working with, and one of the brands was actually a brand on my vision board for the upcoming year, which is so exciting. And if you didn't listen to my New Year's manifestation podcast, go listen to that. I think it was 2 episodes or an episode past, but I talked all about how I manifest and how I'm manifesting this upcoming year and all the things that I'm excited to look forward to. So that was really fun. I got to shoot on some really cool projects and projects I've always wanted to do. There's something, and I can't say what it is. I cannot wait for you guys to share this. It's going to be shared on my Instagram, but it's something that I've literally always said, like when I become a content creator, when I do social media, this is something that I feel like will make me feel more like I am a content creator or social media. So I'm so excited to share. And then also I've been looking at so many new apartments, and even like I might do a house, but I cannot wait to share with you guys what I've been looking at. And I've also feel like I want to start getting back into vlogging. I have a vlog channel, but I stopped vlogging and I haven't really vlogged at all this year, but I feel like I'm getting so much more comfortable filming and recording podcast episodes, so I might want to start doing that again. Also, I hope you guys can see on the video my face, because I know I'm wearing a hat today, so I hope you can see my face on video and the shadow of the rim isn't like overcasting on my face. My sister ended up coming into town with her family, my sister, my brother-in-law, and my niece, and then their family friend who I feel like has been an aunt and uncle to me since I was little. They're 2 best friends, and then they have 3 little girls, and so I hugged them when I first walked into the room, and I just started like bawling my eyes out because I have been so homesick recently, and I feel like that's a big part of like why I've been feeling like I'm in a rut this past week. And we ended up, because I did a get ready with me on TikTok. Also, TikTok is one of my waves of the week. I've been having so much fun filming and recording get dressed with me's and just like posting again. I feel like I went through such a weird phase where I posted so much on TikTok, and then before my original TikTok got deleted, and then I went through a phase where I started posting on my new TikTok, and then I started get like hate comments, and it wasn't even like I think people who follow me or people who like actually interact with my content, it was just like random people. Like I would get hate comments from like old men, or like I would get hate comments from like old women. And so I kind of got really self-conscious about the stuff that I was posting on TikTok. So I stopped posting so much on TikTok. But that was one of my New Year's resolutions, and that was something that I was working on at a Tony Robbins event that me and Ryan did a couple weeks ago, or I guess it'd be a couple months ago. But I don't want to think about how people perceive me. I want to, as long as I'm not hurting anyone, I want to just live authentically as myself. And so I feel like I'm getting back into the groove of that. I also have on TikTok, and I know you can do this, and I don't have like a crazy following on TikTok, which like makes no reason to why I'm getting such random comments, but I have basically any word you could possibly imagine that's negative blocked on my TikTok. So on TikTok, you can go into your settings and you can block like words that you don't want to be like shown up in your comments. So like the person who's typing them out, they'll see that they posted it. There's like a fuzz flying around. They'll see that they posted it, but I won't be able to see their words or the fact that they post. I think if anything with a word that I like put in the do not post comes up, it just flags the entire message. And so yeah, so basically that, and also I am so beyond frustrated. I don't post like, I feel like I don't post very provocative content, and so it makes me so angry when like random men comment on my TikTok, because I feel like, and I kind of ranted to Ryan about this last night, but like I feel like I post a lot of girly content. So the fact that I'm getting random men just following me upsets me and angers me so much, because they leave like the weirdest comments on my TikToks or on my Instagram or like DMs, which like I'm sure everybody deals with, and it's just so annoying, especially being a woman. No one should have to deal with that. Okay, yeah, so basically I just got on like a huge rant, but it was so exciting to see my sister, my brother-in-law, and my niece, who I genuinely love so much. It just felt like a piece of home was with me when they were down here, and it felt so great to have them home, or have them in Miami. That's where they were. And so I drove and I met them, and then they had like a long day of traveling, so we ended up just grabbing pizza and wings, and then just ended up catching up and like laughing so hard. And they were all headed out the next day to go on a Disney cruise, so I'm so jealous. And they're in the Bahamas right now, and I cannot wait to hear how much fun they had and see all the photos. Just hearing about all the things that they were gonna do made me so excited, and my niece was so excited. She loves Disney and she loves Marvel, and so apparently like there's gonna be like a Marvel down the cruise. I digress, but basically I am so excited for them to go on the cruise, and I cannot wait to hear all about the cruise and how it was. And then happy Chinese New Year's, happy Lunar New Year's. Chinese New Year's was a huge holiday, and I talked about this on one of my podcast episodes, but it's a huge holiday that we all celebrate in my family. And so not having my family down here in Florida, it was so nice because Ryan and I ended up celebrating Chinese New Year's at a Korean barbecue place, which was so yummy. At Korean barbecue, it's like you sit at a table and there's a stove in front of you, and then they bring out like platters of meat, like, and the meat's raw, and then you take tongs and you cook your own meat, and then they have all these like Korean side dishes. And it was Ryan's first time going, and he loved it. He was so excited, and we just had like the best dinner. We were celebrating Chinese New Year's because it's a really big deal in the Chinese culture and in my family, and so he knew that I couldn't be with my family, so I was like, why don't we go to Korean barbecue? But it was so much fun, and he had a blast, and so that was one of the highlights of my week. And then I touched on this when I was talking about my sister and brother-in-law and niece coming into town, but this week I felt super duper homesick, and I'm not really sure why, but I think I make it a point to go home either like every month or every other month, and for some reason this month I've just felt really homesick. Maybe it's because of Chinese New Year's, but I just really missed home, and I felt like nonstop all I talked to were like my parents and my brother and my sisters, and it made me feel, and like my best friends from home, and it made me just feel like a little bit closer to them. And I get through such a pattern where like I will be so busy consistently and miss home but not be homesick, and then I'll get through this like really weird phase of like going up and down and just like really missing home and knowing that I want to go home, but then I can't because I have so many things planned out in Florida and work things that like it's not convenient for me to just pick up and go for like 24 hours, because then I don't have enough time to like see everyone and spend time with everyone. Guys, I have been on my matcha kick. Also this week, I'm obsessed with matcha. I go through phases, and I think this is, somebody told me that this is like an ADHD thing. I go through phases where I'll do something consistently every single day until I get sick of it, and then I'll change. But today, I actually had coffee because my roommate was making coffee, but I am obsessed with matcha right now. So I I don't think this is how you're supposed to make it, but I end up boiling hot water and then I put my matcha powder in first, and then I boil hot water, and then I whisk it around, and then I use Silk's oat milk creamer. It's the oat milk cookie kind, and so I put that in my matcha, and it tastes so good. I swear, if you're a matcha drinker, you need to try this because this is the best combo ever. You guys know I also love my Sundays, and I always call them my Sunday resets. And this Sunday was so great. I mean, it kind of was similar to the last Sunday that I talked about, but Ryan and I ended up getting coffee because we always do date nights on Saturdays, and then Sunday mornings are like also our time where we don't have work and we don't have anything to like focus on other than just spending time together. So we did coffee and the beach, and it was a really nice beach day, but we went earlier in the morning, so I wore like a swimsuit and he wore swim trunks. And instead of jumping in, though, actually this is the real reason why we didn't jump in, because the current for the ocean was so freaking strong that I think if we would have swam out there, we literally would have gotten like sucked in a rip current, and then yeah, so that would have not been good. So we got coffee and we got Starbucks. He always gets a black Americano, and then I always get the dolce, I think it's dolce de leche from Starbucks. Except I like change up my orders, so it comes with whipped cream. I do no whipped cream. I do oat milk, and then I do 1 pump of their dolce like caramel seasoning, and then I do 2 pumps of espresso, and I'm pretty sure that's way too much espresso for me because I feel like my body can only handle so much caffeine. I get really overwhelmed and anxious if I have too much caffeine. Like even this morning after drinking matcha for like a full week, and that's why I feel like I've also loved matcha because it's helped me calm my anxiety and stress down so much. But I was sending out emails this morning and I literally felt like I was typing like Speedy Gonzalez. Like my fingers are moving like a bajillion miles a minute. And I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, it's because I had coffee this morning. So those were my waves of the week, and I want to get into my emotions this week. I really wanted to do this episode because I'm someone who is super happy and bubbly and energetic, and I feel like I'm constantly like just smiling and happy, but I have so many times throughout the year where I go through like my ebbs and flows, and I think that's what makes me human, and I feel like it's so important to share these moments with you guys because it's natural and it's human, and I think a part of being human is feeling our emotions, and when we don't feel our emotions, we hurt even deeper inside, and that's kind of what I was doing this week, and I didn't realize it until basically yesterday when I wrote my show notes that I needed to take myself out of what was going on to figure out what I was feeling all week and why I was going through these so many emotions. And I kind of just listed them. I kind of like went through my photo album throughout the week on my iPhone, and I kind of realized like this is how I was feeling in this moment and this is how I was feeling in this moment. It's so real and raw to just share moments. And I even did like a story where I was in the sauna, and this was probably the first day that I could feel that there was a shift in my energy. And I did a story in the sauna, and I was like, hey, I woke up this morning and I wasn't feeling my very best self, but I continued to do all the things that I love to do and that bring me back to ground zero and make me who I am and make me the most level-headed and the most calm, because I'm someone who is really anxious and super energetic, and so I need things that calm me down every single day. And especially when I start out my morning, and my morning routine is typical. It goes, I wake up, I new calm, I meditate, and I did all of those things, but I still was not feeling my very best. And I think that's something that I really want to encourage more of this year, is just to be authentic and real with you guys. I go through so many flows of emotions, and I think it's so important to share because it makes us all feel relatable to each other, and I think that's really what I want life to be about. I want to connect more with you guys, and I say it all the time, but I want more of this human connection, and I want to just be real, and I want to be who I am unapologetically, no matter how I'm feeling. I want to be able to show up, and like, to be honest, I never want to put anything that's super negative out there for you guys, because that's one thing that I get such great feedback on, is that my content is so positive and happy, and that's really what I want you guys to feel when watching or listening or hearing any of the things I put out. But I also think it's so okay to feel my emotions. To anyone who's going through similar struggles, you're not alone. That's something that we all experience, and I think that's something that we all struggle, is feeling like quote unquote were not enough, or like our highs and our lows, and when our lows are really lows, that's not okay. And that's perfectly okay, because I think without the really low lows, it wouldn't be possible to have the really high highs and everything in between. And I think that's so important to remember. So I felt super, super grateful this week, and gratitude is something that I'm constantly practicing. I mean, after my meditation, I typically raise out my 10 fingers and then I count 10 things I'm beyond grateful for. And I think that just brings so much more into my existence. It's kind of like the secret. The more that you preach gratitude and the more things that you're happy about, the better and more things that are going to come into your life. And so I can say for a fact that yes, I was definitely hurting this week and I was going through my ebbs and flows, but I was so beyond grateful for so many things. I think when I get into situations where I don't feel like my very best self, what I do is I like to just sit back and kind of like look around the room that I'm in, or look around my environment and count things I'm grateful for, just to remind myself that like what I'm feeling inside is totally okay. But when I'm able to take myself out of it, there's so much to feel grateful for, and there's so many incredible things happening all the time. Like, as sad as I was, and there wasn't really an explanation to why I was sad this week, which also, if you're listening, if you don't relate, I feel like you could be like, what the heck, that makes no sense, Amelia, but I was so like sad and heartbroken, but I didn't have a reason to be sad and heartbroken. But I could look and appreciate the fact that I have incredible health, and that my body is whole, and that I have a roof over my head, and I have so many incredible loving friends and family. And that's something that I can always count my blessings for, and that's something that I never take for granted. And so when I'm feeling really low, it's always super important to me to just kind of sit and reflect and just love and feel so gratitude for the universe or God or whatever you believe in. And so that's something that really, really helps me, and that's something that I did a ton of this week, because I noticed that I was not feeling my very best self. But in order to feel my very best self, I had to just sit in those emotions and kind of sulk. And as much as I don't think you should sit and stay, I think you should feel and then kind of take yourself out of that bubble. So that's kind of what I did a lot this week. And then I also felt really sad and lonely this week, and I don't know if that has anything to do with my best friend not being home. My best friend Lily moved away, and she moved back to her hometown. But I feel like, and my other best friend is so crazy busy, and my other best friends are one's in Colorado, one's in New York, and so for some reason, I just felt so sad and lonely, and I missed all of my best friends, and I missed my family. Like I was saying, like when I hugged my sister and my brother and my niece, I literally like held on to them, because it was like a sense of like feeling that loneliness, but I didn't have to be lonely. I also did a cycle event with 20 people and 2 of my best friends, and I loved doing that, and my roommate who's in and out of my apartment, and my friends that are down here that I could reach out to. And I don't know what it was, and I think maybe it has part of the reason to do with the fact that I kind of like not purposely isolate myself, but because I work at home and I can work basically from wherever I want to, I spend a lot of time in my alone time. And so maybe that's why I was also focused on that. And I'm really sorry, I don't want this episode to be like really depressive and like super negative. And so I want this to just kind of explain like my week and how I get out of my rut. And then I also missed Ryan, because he was in Nashville for half the week. And so I feel like Lily being gone, Lily was like my person that I did everything with. I was like, oh my gosh, like I miss Ryan so much. And so I was like feeling kind of bad for myself, but also I hate that, because I never want to feel like that, because I know there's so much that I have in my life to be grateful for. Okay, and then on a happier and positive note, I was happy like in ebbs and flows. Like I was so happy shooting content. I was so happy. I was on so many work calls this week, and work calls are my favorite. I don't know what it is. I genuinely just love working with the brands that I work with. And so whenever I get to like speak with them on like Zoom or FaceTime or calls, it makes me the happiest person in the world, because they're brands whose products I really feel inspired by, and they're companies that make me feel inspired. And then also that makes me think that like I talked about wanting to get a puppy, and I think it would be really nice for me to have a puppy, especially on like moments like this, because then when I'm working by myself, I can have like a companion. And yeah, so stay tuned. Next apartment, I'll probably end up getting a dog. I'm so excited. And then I feel like also part of me was like, DS heck, but then not feeling busy at all, which just sounds so strange. Like I feel like there would be days where I was like I would wake up at like sunrise, and then I wouldn't come back home until like 9 o'clock and just run around like crazy. But then there was also days this week where like I wasn't really doing much other than like doing emails or creating content at my house or kind of planning out my schedules. And so also not feeling like super energetic, and that I think definitely had something to do with feeling super duper busy and then also feeling not busy at all. And I'm someone who I always feel the need to fill my schedule up when that should not be the case at all. And I feel like I should be okay with not doing anything, although I find myself really not being okay when I'm kind of just sitting and relaxing. Like, for me, it's really hard to just sit and watch a movie because I feel this weird sense of not doing anything while I'm like relaxing, and that's something that I'm really working on, and that's something that I talked about with my therapist. Like, it's okay to not be doing any work, or it's okay to not do anything, you know, and just sit by myself. Like, I almost feel a sense, and tell me if you guys can relate to this, but I almost feel a sense of guiltiness when I'm not like working, or I feel like this sense of like over competitiveness, and not competitiveness for like anyone in my industry, but competitiveness with myself, and feeling like because I'm not constantly doing something to keep my hands busy, or doing something like editing or recording or like on meetings or creating content or like getting inspiration, I feel like I don't have a purpose in that exact moment, and that's like not at all true. I'm so purpose driven, but sometimes it's so nice to just sit and not do anything and not talk to anyone and not do any work. And I want to start doing more of that because I used to pencil in time to do nothing, and I think that's so important. I feel like part of the reason I was feeling like that also is because the new year just started and I have so many goals for myself, but I'm literally going through so many like flows of feelings and emotions while the new year's, because I'm trying to like make sure I get a good start to the year. But then I think I also sometimes am really hard on myself. So this is just a reminder to be gentle to your heart and soul, because if you showed up or woke up or gave any effort to today, you really did grow. And I think that's something that I need to just focus on and prioritize, that as long as I'm just growing little by little by little, I will grow and abundantly because I'm taking the time to show up for myself. And so that is just what I want to remind you guys of, because I don't want this to be like a super anxious episode. I just want this to be like a really loving episode and kind of just like a more personal one. Okay, and then this is exactly how I got out of my rut the past like couple days. So I was talking to my therapist, and I love my therapist more than life. She helps me through so many breakthroughs, and I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I think it's really nice to have somebody in my life who cares about me and cares about my emotions and cares about what I'm going through, but isn't involved in my day-to-day life as if I need to explain to them things that they already know about. And for me, it feels so nice to go and be cared and listened to from someone who knows nothing about my life other than what I tell them. And I think obviously if like you're telling your therapist the truth about your life, that's also very important. But I basically just started like bawling my eyes out to her. Like, I do it over like Doxy, so it's like a big FaceTime, so I only see her in person every once in a while. But we got on the call and she was like, hey, like, how's your week going? And I literally cannot tell you guys enough when I just started bawling my eyes out, and I didn't even like get a word in. Like, I didn't even like say anything yet. I kind of was like, it's good. And then I just started crying. And she was like, okay, walk me through how you're feeling. Are you okay? Like, what are you feeling? And I basically gave her the rundown of what I just told you guys. And she kind of just had me take a deep breath and realize that that is okay and that's normal. I am such a big advocate for therapy. I've been in therapy since I was like a kid. I came from a really dysfunctional family. As much as I love them and they all love each other, it was just really hard being the youngest in my family and kind of watch my family go through all these ups and downs and not really know how to communicate them to anybody. So I've been in therapy since I was a kid. For anyone who is thinking about therapy, you don't even have to tell anyone you're in it. I'm vocal about it because I love my therapist. I think she's obviously not a best friend to me, but I treat her as if she really is. She's someone I have so much trust in and so much compassion for, because she really puts up with a lot from me and just hears me rant for like an hour about my life, and after I just feel like a fresh of breath air. And I think all of my friends and Ryan knows that like when I go to therapy, I just feel like a brand new person. I feel like I showered, like, and I feel like I'm able to get out all the things that I don't want to overwhelm my family with. And so yeah, basically, long story, I love therapy, but she kind of asked me, she was like, how much love have you given yourself this week? And it really was a hard question because I thought about it, and I'm like the biggest advocate for self-love. I love self-love. I think everyone should be giving themselves love back and giving themselves more love to who they are more than anyone in their life. Not that that's like a bad thing, and I feel like that could be like a very controversial statement, but I think everyone deserves self-love to who they are and who their spirit is. And I realized, I was like, holy shit, like, you're right. I haven't given myself a lot of love this week, and I've been really hard on myself, and I've not been really kind to myself. And I always say, talk to yourself like you would talk to your friend. If I talked to any of my friends the way I talked to myself this week, I would be considered the shittiest friend in the world, and that's not okay with me. And so it made me realize, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. I feel like I've been so hard on myself, and I really haven't sat to give who I am enough love this week. And I think that's why I went through so many ebbs and flows and so many negative emotions and feeling basically at my bottom, which I'm someone who I would consider myself to be pretty self-aware. I wouldn't say I'm the most self-aware. It definitely takes me a while to figure out when I've been doing something, but I would say for the most part, I'm pretty self-aware. Like I try my hardest to listen to myself and feel and realize what I'm doing, and then try to find better ways to do it if I'm not feeling like I'm doing my best. And also, I think being self-aware has so much to do with being vulnerable and being truthful with yourself. I wouldn't say that I really have been the most truthful with myself until the past 2 years, and just ripping all the layers off and all the vulnerability and just sitting with who I am and loving who I am at the core and giving the girl that's inside of me the most love, because that's what she deserves. You know, she's put on like a face for, I would say, like 20 years of not feeling like her unapologetically herself. I feel like I've really stepped into those shoes of feeling my most self and most authentic me the past like 2 to 3 years. And things that I did to help me get out of this rut the past couple of days, and I want to say the past couple of days because I didn't want to record this episode super duper long away from the time period of last week. I wanted to be able to like share and reflect and kind of realize what's helped me get out of my rut. And so I feel like I'm not a big journaler, but my therapist recommended me journaling and focusing on my thoughts and my words and my feelings and just letting it all out on a piece of paper. So I've been journaling every single morning for the past 3 days, yeah. And not even reading them back, but just taking to a pen and paper about how I'm feeling in this exact moment, what has gone on in my day, how I can improve, how I'm feeling, what I love, what I'm grateful for, what I'm appreciative for, what I'm looking forward to, and just letting all of like basically like a brain dump. And it has been so productive to me because I feel refreshed after doing it. And I think doing it in the morning for me helps me so much because when I wake up, my brain is like go, 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 go all the time. And so taking the time to journal has helped me so much in the mornings. Just like get all of that on a piece of paper and then breathe and then continue on and start to have a beautiful and grateful day. I always say that working out has always been like a form of therapy for me ever since I was a kid or since I could remember playing sports, but I've really decided to work out. I know I've worked out typically on like Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but the past couple days I've decided to just work out every single day of the week. And Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays are normally when I work out with my trainer, or Mondays and Wednesdays are normally when I work out with my trainer. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I've been taking the time to do like mat Pilates. And I'm so excited because I signed up for a place right around my house. It's called Hot Works, I think. It's basically like a studio, but it's divided into separate places. So I think there's like 10 classrooms or 10 rooms, and they have like a screen, and then it's like a sauna, so you work out in the sauna. And I've heard so much about hot Pilates, and we don't have a hot Pilates studio, or at least I don't think we have a hot Pilates studio close to where I am. So I signed up for that, which I'm really excited for because I just want to move my body. And I also say that like working out for me is the time where I get to decompress and not think about anything. And so I always love doing workouts. Like, I'm not someone who typically works out very good on their own, and props to anyone everyone who does, but I'm not someone who can just go to the gym and put my headphones in and lift weights on my own. I feel like I have to be following an instructor or following someone in front of me, which is why like I'm so excited to be doing Pilates again, because I love the way Pilates feels on my body. And I feel like I love when I work out with my trainer Erin, because she always pushes me to new boundaries, to set new goals for myself, and pushes me to feel even more confident in my body than I typically do, because it's such a reward after getting through a hard workout and feeling like, heck yeah, like I just did that, like, and realizing that like my day from my workout gets better and easier because I'm in a happy mood and I was able to share my endorphins. But then again, I love Pilates because I feel really sculpted and I feel really toned in my body. And so I'm so glad to be doing both again, because I felt like this weird thing. Again, it's like the whole matcha and coffee thing. I go through periods where I love workouts. Like a couple years ago, I kickboxed every single day for like a year, and then I got sick of kickboxing and I was like, I don't really have the energy in me, like I don't feel like I need to do this all the time. And then I went through a year where I literally only did Pilates, and I loved Pilates, and I still do love Pilates, and now I love working out with Erin, and I still love working out with Erin. But I think having the balance is so great. And actually, I kind of heard a quote the other day that life doesn't need to be balanced, and I feel like that's something I struggle with. Life doesn't need to feel like a constant, like a teeter-totter. It needs to just feel however you're feeling, and I think that's something that I struggle with, because I'm always trying to figure out like balance. If I eat like shitty food, then having good food, but then it's like I just need to do whatever makes me feel good, or like sleeping in too much and then not sleeping in at all. I just feel like I really want to practice more intuitive living and do whatever feels right to me when it does, and focus on how I can incorporate things that make me happy and how I can incorporate things that make me feel like my best self and bring me back to who I am every single day in every single way that I try to. A goal of mine this year is to try to read every single night before I go to bed, and then every single morning when I wake up. And I have just been loving reading. When I first moved into my apartment, I lived here for almost 3 years now, but I used to love just sitting out on my balcony. So on my balcony is to the left of me, but basically I have like the comfiest sofa out there, and then my balcony overlooks a huge pond that's in front of my apartment, and there's all these ducks running around, and there's all these animals and like turtles and like birds. And I did that the other day. I went out there for the first time in probably like 3 months and just sat and drank tea and just watched nature. And for some reason that's so grounding to me, and it makes sense because it was able to take me out of like thinking I need to reach all these deadlines and do all these things and talk to all these people. Instead, I just went out there and I drank tea, and then I felt so comfy out there that I didn't want to leave, that I grabbed a book. And so now that's been my new thing every single morning. After waking up, I won't go on my phone. I'll make tea, and then I'll take my tea out to my balcony with a book and read for like 30 minutes to an hour. And right now I'm reading a book all about being present for women, and it has made me feel so much better in all the emotions I felt last week, because I felt like I was like battling like this inner, almost like I was battling myself. It sounds so weird and sounds so strange to say. And I am so big on affirmations, and the past couple of months, I feel like I've been taking my affirmations just to the mirror and just looking at myself and talking to myself as a friend, saying those affirmations. But something that is so helpful to me is pulling out a note sheet on my phone as soon as I wake up, and not spending any of the time looking at the screen, but tapping like the speak to text. So like I'm laying in my bed, my phone's like right by my pillow, and I've been like just speaking out affirmations or things that I want. So like today, I woke up not feeling so super duper energetic, which is crazy because today, like in this current moment, I feel so energetic. Like I could probably run like a marathon, but I was like, I am filled with energy and I'm filled with excitement. And that was not how I was feeling this morning when I woke up. But as the day has progressed, I have literally felt that so much. And so it feels so good to just speak those things out into existence and almost like say them out loud as soon as I wake up after my meditation, which has helped me so much the past couple days feel more like my best self, or feel more like how I want to show up every single day for myself. And then since I work from home, I feel like I'm constantly just in sweatpants and sweatshirts, and don't get me wrong, that's like my comfort. I don't wear t-shirts, I don't really wear shorts. I wear sweatpants and I wear sweatshirts. That's like comforting to me for some reason. Just having like my entire body covered is what I love the most. But I realized that like when I'm working from home, I'm not dressing up for anyone. I look, and it's not about appearance, but it's about the way I feel. I don't look like I would want to when I go out in public. And so putting on like a nice outfit to work from home has been really nice for me, because then I feel like, and it's not like doing a full face of makeup, it's not like curling my hair. It's as simple as like putting on like a sweat set and like something that's like super cute, because that makes me feel more confident in who I am. So I feel like I'm also able to just show up better like while I'm doing my work and stuff, because I have like this sense of like self-love and self-worth. And I think that's so important to me, working from home and kind of being isolated by myself, because the people that only see me, and when I take meetings for like brands and stuff, I get dressed up and like I put on like a real outfit as if I was going out, and just looking my best for me, because I'm able to feel my best for my highest version of myself. Ooh, okay, something I put in my show notes was to stop scrolling. I have this really bad habit. I will scroll and scroll and scroll while I'm not doing anything. Like if I'm eating, like I typically like to FaceTime my friends or family while I'm eating like lunch or dinner if I don't have dinner plans. But I've been scrolling so much on TikTok and so much on Instagram, and I know that's not good for me. And I don't know why I'm taking the time to like actually spend that much time looking at everybody else's life when I should be focused on my life. And that's not saying like I don't go on social media and I don't scroll, because I definitely do. But it would be like I would eat my lunch and continue to scroll, and then I would sit there with my plate in front of me after 30 minutes, just continue to scroll, and then like look how much time has passed. And I hate that. Like I am all about like doing it in moderation, or doing it when I genuinely feel like I want to be involved in social media. There's no excuse for me to just take 2 hours out of my day to watch other people's lives when I could be like living my own life, you know? So that's something that I'm really working on right now. And I feel like that's something that also really just kind of buried my head deep into what I was feeling and my emotions that I was going through throughout the week. So as much as I love social media and content creation, it's been really fun for me to just throw myself in Truly Intention and figure out everything for the candle launch, and just like how me and my assistant are planning on doing everything, and just having so much time focused on that. And that's truly what I love. I love being able to just take the time and do something super creative. I feel like I'm more of a hands-on learner and like a visual learner than I am, what is the word I'm thinking of? But basically I know there's two types of learning. Actually, there's probably multiple types of learning, but I'm thinking like visual and then hands-on. I think that's, or is that the same thing? Hopefully you know what I mean. But being able to be creative and be involved in a project is so important to me, and feeling super involved in my own candle company has been so cool. Being able to watch all the steps and everything that's gone in, and being creative just takes me out of whatever I'm feeling and puts all of my energy towards a project, and that's what I love so much. And I feel like that's the huge part about content creation that I love, and what I do is that like I love being able to be creative. I'm not someone who I feel like could like just constantly sit on my computer all day as much time as I do spend on my computer. I think it's so important to me, and so important to my mental health, to just go and do activities and do things that take me out of whatever I'm thinking. And so that's what Truly Intention has really done for me the past week. I also think when you're in a rut, it's so important to think about all the people, and this is something that I do when I'm feeling really low. I kind of feel really lonely and that I'm the only person in the world that's going through this, but that's like not true. And I think as humans, we all feel these emotions, and I think it's so important to like go to the people who you find the most comfort in, you know? Like for me, that's my best friends, or it's my brother, or it's my mom, or it's my dad, or it's my boyfriend, and going to them and telling them, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Can I just talk to you for a little bit? Or will you just tell me about your life so I'm not thinking about mine right now? And so it also just like makes you feel more connected to the people that you love. And I think that's something that I try to emphasize almost on a regular basis, because I am so extroverted. I feel like I like to talk to people as much as I can, but Sorry, my neighbor's dog is barking if you can hear that. But that's something that I really do try to spend so much time on, is just like getting out of my bubble when I'm feeling really low and reaching out to the people that I love, who love me so much, and just talking to them about what they're doing, what's going on in their life, what they're excited for, and how they're feeling. And it helps me just feel less alone. Back to what I was saying about how like I am constantly someone who puts a lot of pressure on myself. Something that I've done the past 2 days is splitting up my work day. So like instead of, because this is what I'll get guilty of, like waking up, doing my morning routine, and then hopping straight into work. And then from work, I won't stop. Like I'll pre-make all my meals in the morning. That way, like I know if I have a crazy work day, I can just eat as I go. And then I won't stop until like bedtime basically. And that's like not okay. That's not okay for me personally. And I don't know anyone that's okay for doing. So splitting up my work day and doing like a walk every couple hours and just like walking around my neighborhood and getting fresh air, or, you know, like turning on like a Pilates class, a 5-minute Pilates class, doing that, or doing something like making myself food, or putting away my dishes, or doing my laundry. That way I'm not like constantly just in a computer screen in front of me and just like nonstop, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm like able to like break up my days and break up my time, and that's really helped a lot, especially if you're someone who's like kind of a workaholic. I hate that term, but basically someone who is just consumed by the work. And I also hate that because I don't find that attractive. Like, not attractive, like I don't find it attractive when someone's personality is just their work. I feel like it's so important to have outside activities and like outside. Oh my God, there's a white lab outside. Oh, I'm so jealous for whoever that owner is. I wish I had a white lab soon. Okay, sorry for the distraction. What was I even saying? Oh, okay, I was talking about, I think it's so attractive when people have things outside of their work. I think when someone's personality is their work, that's so unattractive to me, because who are you actually, you know? Like, I don't think any of us are just one person. I think we are one person made up of so many different elements. And like, what do you like to do? What do you like to do in your free time? What makes you you? What music do you listen to? You know what I mean? I feel like I love having so many other things on my plate other than just work, because I like to like have a release. I like to have things that make me creative. I like to have things that I can look forward to. And I think that's so important also when like getting out of your bubble and when you're feeling in a rut or not feeling like your very best self, is to just fill also your plate without filling too much of your plate with things that are only work. Does anyone else feel that way? Because like me. And then I wanted to wrap this episode up with what I realized this week after like kind of taking a step back and writing down all my emotions and writing down all the things that I felt and all the things that got me out of it, was that this feeling that I'm feeling right now is only temporarily. I think as humans we have a bajillions of emotions, and so I think realizing that you may feel like this now, or I may feel like this now, but this isn't forever. And I think focusing my energy on that is really important too, because when I'm able to kind of take myself out of my rut or take myself out of this bad zone that I'm in, it helps me realize that like tomorrow's a new day. You know, like tomorrow I get to decide how I'm feeling. And sometimes it could be better, it could be worse, but this feeling that you're stuck or you're lonely or you're sad doesn't have to last forever, and it's temporarily if you make it temporary. And I said this earlier, but I'm really hard on when I'm not feeling my best self, making sure that I snap out of it immediately. And that's not how it should be. I'm human, I should feel my emotions, and I think feeling my emotions really vulnerable is something that has always been really hard for me. I think even as a child, and I would love to do an episode on childhood trauma, because I feel like I truly did have like the best childhood. I came from such loving parents and such loving family, but I went through a lot of trauma, and my family was kind of like divorced itself. And so I would love to do an episode on childhood trauma and just how I've been able to just take myself out of that and kind of take a step back and realize all the things that I do now as an adult that I learned as a kid and kind of how I cope. But even as a young kid, it was always really hard for me to just sit with my emotions and understand my feelings for what they are, instead of like having a face on all the time and just being super happy and super positive, because that's not who I am and that's not who I want to put this facade to be as, because as a human, like, I love being happy, but I also think it's totally healthy to feel your emotions. And when you're feeling stuck, understanding why you feel stuck instead of just kind of feeling stuck and then stuffing it, which is something that I literally did for, I feel like, half of my life. I feel like I stuffed my emotions, and now I feel like I'm at a really safe space in my life where everything is happy and everything's the way I want it to be, that I can sit with myself and just cry, and I can sit with myself and just be the happiest person. But it all takes time, and I think it's so important to understand that, because that has taken me so effing long to realize. Okay, and then something I realized that I did not know until probably like 2 weeks ago was, as a woman, and if you're a man, I'm so sorry if this like sentence or conversation has kind of nothing to do, but maybe it's educational for you if you have like a girlfriend or a wife or a mom or a sister, to understand that women only get 6 days out of a month to themselves. So like, because of the way our cycles are, and I genuinely would love to have a guest on about cycle syncing. I don't know anything about cycle syncing, and I don't really understand the process of it, other than the fact that like you move or eat or sleep based off of the way your period cycles are set up. And women only have 6 days where they're not on a period cycle, or they're not on a cycle, from my understanding of what I learned. So I get 6 days a month to be completely me. I feel like that's so crazy to me, and I feel like maybe that has something to do with the reason why I wasn't feeling that great. But that just blows my mind to think that women only have 6 days out of 30 days to feel themselves without being emotional or without being synced to your period cycle, which, that's crazy. That's so crazy to me. I also learned this year that women and men have different sleep cycles based off of the way our bodies are made. So like, and these numbers might be wrong, but I think that it was men can go without sleep for like 24 hours, or men can function without sleep for 24 hours versus like women can only function without sleep for 8 hours. And a lot of us women push ourselves obviously like past 8 hours because of the way our culture and society is set up. But it makes so much sense when I heard that, because my boyfriend wakes up super early and is probably the most productive person I've ever met, but he wakes up super early, and there's days where like I'll wake up super early and love it, but then there's days where I wake up and I know that my body needs more rest, which is so crazy to me, and I've never realized that until this year, which makes sense why like some days our bodies are telling us like, no, get back to bed, like I haven't had enough rest to re-energize myself. And there's some days where I can just jump out of bed and feel like the most energetic, or like literally the energetic bunny. And then I feel like the last thing that I want to end this episode with is something that I've really had to sit with a lot this week, that my emotions are not who I am. Like, if I'm feeling anxiety, if I'm really anxious, I'm not an anxious person. I'm feeling anxiety. If I'm stressed, I'm not a stressed person. I'm feeling stressed. And so I think it's really helped me kind of cope with my emotions, to just separate them, to know, hey, like I'm feeling this way in this moment, but this is not who I am, I think attaching certain personality traits or certain unhealthy personality traits doesn't help us be kinder to ourselves. And like I've caught myself saying it so much this week, like instead of saying like, oh my God, I'm really anxious, and I've been saying, oh my gosh, I'm feeling really anxious in this moment. And that's kind of helped me like realize that my emotions are not who I am. I'm who I am. And yes, as much as I want to say like we control our emotions, which I think we do, but sometimes we have a hard time navigating our emotions. And I think it's so important to understand that our emotions are not us. Our emotions are feelings that we attach ourselves to. Does that make any sense? Like, again, like I was saying, I'm a person who deals with anxiety, but I'm not an anxious person. I just feel anxious during certain moments of my life and throughout my days. Some days may be more anxious than others, and some days I might be a lot more calmer than others. And I wish I could say that I'm always a calm person, and that's just not the reality of it. And maybe hopefully one day I will be a calm and zen person like I would love to be, but that's not who I am. So I feel calmness, And I also feel anxiety or I feel frustration, but I'm not a frustrated person. And I think that has helped me so much realize that like I am me, I am not my feelings, I'm not my emotions. I just go through those things. I have loved recording this episode, and I hope it was a positive episode instead of it being super negative, and I hope that you guys were able to feel my positive energy, and I'm sending all so much love to you, and I hope you have an incredible week, and thank you again always so much for listening to this week's episode, and I love you.